Automate your LinkedIn job search with this AI workflow. In today's video, I'm going to walk us through how we can set this AI agent up so that we can extract data from LinkedIn, analyze it against a success criteria, including your CV, and store all of this in Google Sheets. And the best part, it's incredibly cheap to run because it's usage-based, i.e. you only pay for what you use, and it's only going to cost us $0.0015 per job we analyze. We're going to be able to set it up so it runs on a scheduled trigger every single day. So for example, 7 a.m. We're then going to go through and extract all of the different information from LinkedIn to do the specific job in a certain region. We'll then use our Google Sheets to check if that record already exists. If it does, we're going to exclude it. If it doesn't, it means it's a brand new opportunity for us. So we're going to go through and store that for later on. And all of this is going to be running with inside n8n. So let's jump straight into the video and see exactly how it works. So as you can see in the background here, we've got the simple 4-step process all set up. We're going to be able to do the scheduled trigger, and I'm going to walk us through it in more detail in a second. So to run it, we're going to come through and do execute workflow, but this would typically be running in the background with your scheduled trigger every single day, again, maybe at 7 a.m. in the morning, to find the jobs suitable for you. We're then going to go through, trigger a request with BrightData to come and scrape all of the results. We're then going to let this loop go through, and then we're going to check for duplicates, analyze the job, and store that suitability score. Now, the reason we're doing this on a scheduled trigger is because to extract all of this data can take around 5 minutes to do before we can store it in our Google Sheets. So now we've extracted the data, we're going to go through and start to analyze it. First of all, we're going to check that it doesn't already exist in our table that we've got within Google Sheets. And then we're going to go through and analyze every single one. Within this, we're going to make sure that the output includes a suitability score, as you can see here, as well as some key points that we need to mention in our application if we were going to go through and apply for that job. As you can see here, we had 10 records that were unique, and now they've gone through and been added into our Google Sheets. So if we come back across, as you'll see here, we've now got 10 new rows that if I just format quickly, we'd be able to go through and see if we're suitable or not suitable for those roles. So it looks like a lot of the ones that we just extracted, actually we would be suitable for, versus some of the ones you see a bit before maybe weren't as suitable. So then, for you as the user, for example here, we said that it was 93% certain. You just need to click on the URL, and now it's going to take you through straight to that job so that you can apply nice and easily without having to do a single thing. So if you're interested in learning more about AI and automation, definitely come across to our school community. You'll learn how to build workflows like this and sell them on to clients. And also make sure to subscribe. We've got lots of videos on the channel all around AI and automation. So now let's walk through step by step how we've built this out. So the first part is on the left-hand side here, is how we're triggering the process, i.e. starting the process. So I've used a scheduled trigger because what this enables us to do is we can specify the time intervals for it to run. So that, for example, here, we can say that we're going to have the interval as days and 1. So this means every day it's going to run through and execute the process. If we change this to weeks, for example, then it would go through and execute the process once a week. We've also got it set up here, so it's going to extract it at midnight, and it will go through and complete the process. So if you wanted to change that to 7 a.m., you could do that as well, and then have it extract all of the data. It's totally up to you. What we're then doing is using BrightData to extract it. The reason I've gone for BrightData is because it can be significantly cheaper. For example, if we were to use RSS app on the left-hand side, it's automatically going to cost us at least $10 a month to be able to extract data. We're able to have up to 15 feeds, so that could be 15 different job descriptions you're looking at, or 15 different roles, or it could just be 15 different locations, for example. We're only going to be able to get 25 posts per feed. Now, another very popular data scraping platform out there is Apify. Now, these work on actors, so you can set them up to run on specific tasks. But what you'll also see is these actors alone have some specific costs to be able to use them. So, for example, two of the most popular ones, you're going to be paying around $30 a month on top of your Apify costs already and all of the usage to do with that. There is an option right at the bottom there to do $1 per 1,000 results, which is similar to what we're going to get with BrightData. Now, BrightData works on usage base. So what this means is it's only going to charge you on what you actually use and extract. So what it means is for each of the job descriptions you're extracting, it's going to cost you $0.0015 per record. So what this means is per 100 jobs you extract, it's going to cost you around 15 cents to do it. Now, why using BrightData is much better is because, for example, if we compare it to that Apify monthly subscription, which is the most popular one, you're going to have to pay $29.99 per month just to be able to use the actor. That's on top of the $40 you're already going to be paying to be able to use Apify. So by just using that cost of $30 per month to be able to run that actor, because we don't pay for the monthly charge with BrightData, it's only going to cost us that $0.0015 per record. And what this equates to is just by saving on that extra monthly subscription, we're going to be able to extract 19,993 jobs just for that $30 that you would have paid to be able to use the actor in Apify. So that's how we can be incredibly cost efficient, because now we're already saving straight away, because instead of it being subscription based, it's usage based. Now we're using a HTTP request, which is where we're going to basically tell BrightData, we want this data to be extracted, please provide it for us. So if we come down here, I'll show you how to set it up in BrightData in a minute. But for example, here we're specifying that we want the data from the LinkedIn job post URL. We want it to come back. We can also update it in here that we're saying that we want the limit to be 15 in this use case. So it's only going to return 15 jobs. Now, what that means from a cost point of view is that 0.0015 times 15. So for us to run this process, it would only cost us 2 cents to do it. So if you were then to change that to be 100, it would only cost you 15 cents to extract all of the results. So if we come a bit further down here, what we're then doing is specifying our authorization API key, which I'll show you how to set up in a minute. Now, what we're doing down here is we're actually sending across the LinkedIn URL that we want to analyze. So in this use case, I came across to LinkedIn and was just searching for senior business analysts in London over the past month, and there's all categories that we're coming through. So there's 249 results that we're going through and analyzing. But if you wanted that to be the past week, you could also do that, and then it would just go through and only extract the results from that week. To make this work with BrightData, you just need to copy the URL up the top here, back into n8n, and then paste in here. If you want to search for multiple jobs, you can do that nice and easily. You just need to open this up, copy where we've got this request, do a comma, enter, and paste it. And now you can go through and add multiple different ones. You can have up to 1,000 different URLs that you're going to analyze per request. I'm going to remove that though, and we're going to come out of here. But how do we go through and set this up ourselves? Well, we're going to be using BrightData as mentioned. Now, this is one of the market leading platforms out there for data scraping, and it's incredibly good for a lot of different use cases. And it's market leading, as you can see there, against quite a few other platforms, both in performance but also cost. Now, they've got lots of different ways of extracting data. We're going to come through and do user dashboard. On the left-hand side, we'll see that we've got a few different options, including web scrapers. You just need to click on web scrapers. Now we're going to come across to the library so we can see all of the different ones available. Let me know if there's any on here that you want to see a video on and we can do it. We've got LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Crunchbase, real estate. We've got Airbnb, so many different ones that we'll be able to do. For this specific use case though, we're coming across to their LinkedIn scraper. We're going to click into here and now we've got quite a few different options. We've got the ability to collect information about people's profiles on LinkedIn. We can do the same for company. Check out lots of other videos that we've got on the channel about how to do this. What we are going to do though is look at these three here, which is all around the job listings. Now the one that we want to use is discover by URL. We can click on here and just keep it on Scraper API. We'll do next and it's going to open up this interface here. Now I know it can look quite intimidating at the start, but it's actually nice and easy to use once we've gone through the example. On the right hand side here, you'll see that we've got some information around what's required. So we need it to be the URL from LinkedIn. We'll see that we've got that cost point down here, that it's going to be 0.0015 per record it extracts. And on average, it takes around 19 seconds per input that we provide. We can also send up to 1,000 job URLs per request that we send through. In the middle here, you're going to see an example output that you're going to get from this request. So if you wanted to go through and do some testing, you'd be able to copy this and use it. What you'll also see down here as well is the fill rate. So what this means is the percentage of the time that field has been completed. So you'll see that every single field has a URL, but maybe only 97% of them actually have a seniority title that's included. You'll see here that there's quite a few different fields. For example, the base pay isn't always specified, the title isn't always specified. There's a few different ones, but that will show you all of the different fields you're able to extract. Now, if you want to use it yourself, we just need to come across to API Request Builder. As you can see here, we've got 3 URLs straight away. For the example that I showed you, we just had the one URL in there, and this is just going to be your LinkedIn URL. So once you've got rid of the 2, what we'll see is that we can come down and change the outputs. We're going to not include the errors in the outputs. We're going to include a limit. So in this case, we'll do 100. What you'll see up the top here is an API key. So if you've downloaded the resource from the community, you just need to update the API key in here with yours. But if you're doing this from scratch, copy this curl request here, come into n8n, right click, and then you want to add a HTTP request node, import the curl in there, and it will set it up for you all automatically. And then you can go through and make the changes that you need. We're going to come out of here and delete that. So now that we've triggered the request, what we're going to get back is a snapshot ID. And that's because when we're extracting the data, it can take a little while to go through and get all of the different results. So as you can see in the background here, apart from the 2 that we just did, it's normally around 5 minutes to get the output. But of course, the more fields you include, the longer it's going to take back. Now, what this snapshot is all of the data that is the output of that request. So if we come back across to n8n, what I mean by that is now that we've extracted all of that data, as you can see on the right hand side here, we now have those 15 job descriptions or job postings on LinkedIn that we can go through and analyze. We're going to come out of here, and then in our if statement, we're basically just saying or double checking that if a job posting ID exists, that means that the data scraping is complete, so we can go through and process the data. Now in here, we're using a Google Sheets module and we're doing get rows. So if you've not used this before, you want to right click, do Google and then Sheet, and then you want to do get rows in Sheet. Make sure to connect your credentials. I'll include the link below to the actual video from n8n around how they walk through setting up the Google credentials, because it takes a little while to go through and get it all set up. Once you've connected your account though, it'll give you access to all of the different Google applications, Google Docs, Google Drive, and much, much more. If we come into here, what we're looking for within the Get Rows sheet is we're going to specify the document. So in this case, it's our Google Sheet that we've got in here. We've specified that it's going to be the sheet of job details, which in this case is the only sheet that we've got. If you had multiple different ones, maybe applied, brand new, anything like that, you'd also be able to add that in there. What we're then doing is, as you can see here, we're filtering down on the job posting ID column. So if we come back to our Google Sheets, that's column A. We're going to look through all of these different job posting IDs to see, do they already exist? And what we're doing is pulling across the job posting ID from the data that's ready on the left-hand side. So we're checking if a match already exists. As you can see on the right-hand side here, none of the matches do exist for quite a few of them, so we're going to be able to process them nice and easily. But it did find 5 out of the 15 already existed. So in that use case, we don't want to add a duplicate, we want to remove them. Now, we're able to do that with this merge module here. So if I click into here, what we're saying is we're combining the input one, which is our Google Sheets check, with all of the 15 items from our if statement here. So if I just pull this up, as you can see here, we've got the 2 nodes connecting together. And what we're doing in here is we're matching fields based on our job posting ID. So if I get rid of this and pull this across, as you can see here, we're making sure that we're checking if a match exists. So down here, we're saying if a match does not exist, we want to keep that to process. But if it does exist, then we want to remove it and we're not going to include it. So that's why, because we've got the 5 items from our Google Sheets and we've got the 15 original job descriptions that we've extracted from our BrightData and LinkedIn, we're only going to keep 10. So it's 15 minus 5. So we're going to keep the 10 that don't exist already in Google Sheets and process them into our Google Sheets. And that's why when we come down here, what we're going to say is from input 2, we're going to keep all of the different ones that don't exist. So if we come out of here, what we're now doing is using those 10 unique job descriptions to analyze them. Now in here is where you're going to need to make a change. This is a basic LLM module, and what this enables us to do is use lots of different AI models. So for example here, if you wanted to use Anthropic, you could use Cohere, DeepSeek, whichever one you preferred to analyze the data. I'm using OpenAI in here and the ChatGPT 4.1 module. So this means it's going to be nice and cheap for us to be able to run. If we come out of here, what we're also doing is specifying the output we're looking for. So in this case, we want a suitability percentage and we're keeping it as an integer value or a number value because it's not got the quote marks around it. If I was to add those, it changes it from a numeric value to a text-based value. And we need it to be numerical because then it will be automatically formatted into a percentage within our Google Sheet. We're also saying that we want to include the 5 points around what we should include in our application. And that's why on the right-hand side here, you can see the output that we're then adding into Google Sheets. But how does it get this output? Well, we need to give the AI a really clear instruction. So in here, if I just open this up, what we can see is on the left-hand side is all of the information to do with that job post from LinkedIn. So we've got the actual application URL here. We've got the title, the company. We've got a summary about that job. We've got the seniority level. We've got the company data. We've got the number of applicants so far. We've got the title ID. We've got job description unformatted. And we've got some of the salary amount if it's included. Now what I'm doing with n8n is we're using this as an input to analyze. So on the right hand side here, for example, job title, all I would need to do is put across job title and now we can use it. And one of the features I love about n8n is because on the right hand side here, we'll see exactly what would be passed into our agent to analyze. But what are we going to be analyzing it against? Well, that's where we've come down and given it 2 system prompts. So these are going to happen before our prompt from the user comes through. Think of these as like priming prompts. They happen right at the start to give your AI agent context and awareness around the problem it's trying to solve. So if we come into the first prompt, we're saying that it's a meticulous talent evaluator. It's going through and analyzing the job description against the success criteria we've provided here, and it's going to recommend if we should apply to that job or not. You can completely tailor this to your different use cases, what you think is good for your job application, some more context, anything like this. And then all we're doing for the second one here is we're entering in a CV. So if you've got a CV that you've written, just copy and paste it in here below my CV, and then it will be able to analyze it for every single job description that comes through. So that's how we're able to give it the context around the job, but also come through, specify its task and the context around you for its CV. And using all of this information, and then it's giving us the output of a suitability score and the application key point. So now we can go through and store all of that in our Google Sheets. The module that we're using here is, if I just come through and do Google and then Sheet, is we're going to be doing append a row in a sheet. So what this means is append is we're going to be adding it to the next available row. So if I come across to our Google Sheets, we would be adding it into row 59. That's where the next set of data would go. We're going to get rid of this and then come back up to our Google Sheets. So in here, with our account connected, we're appending a row, so adding the data into the document of Automate Your Job Search, Google Sheets, and the sheet of job details, which is this one here. So now we're going through and adding it all manually. You can also do it automatically if you want to. You can use both. It's just what you prefer. Now, I mentioned we got lots and lots of data that we can use. So instead of using the job analyzer output straight away, we're actually going to use the data from the merge module first. So what we can do is get rid of this and then put across job posting ID. And this is going to add all of the data from here into here. The reason we're doing that is because the output from our LLM module that we just analyzed that job description and our CV with is only going to give us the percentage score and the application key points. In the merge module, we're going to have all of the information around that job. So as you can see here, I've gone through and specified a couple of different points, but you can add more data in here if you wanted to. So I haven't included, for example, the number of applicants, but if you wanted to do that, you just come across into the Google Sheet, come across to the right-hand side, you would add a new column, make sure that it's called number of applicants, come back into n8n, you would just refresh it up the top here, and now it will refresh all of the different columns available. We can see number of applications is now available, pull that across, and now we can also store that data. And what this is doing is going through all of the 10 unique job descriptions and adding that in. For our job suitability score, that's where we're adding it in here. So we'll come back to Job Analyzer, we'll get rid of this, put across the suitability percentage, and as you can see here, it's a decimal place so that it can be added in correctly, and then we can go through and store all of this data. And that's how when we come into our Google Sheets, we've now got all of this data around different job applications. So if we wanted to sort these from high to low, we'd be able to do that, find the job descriptions nice and easily, and have it on autopilot every single week, day, whatever you needed. And that's how you can go through and automate your job search with LinkedIn and n8n. Make sure to come across to the community to get access to the resource, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more around AI, automation, and have a great day.